Good morning. Today we're starting a project to replace these little LED lights. These little LED lights were solar powered, and as you can see they failed miserably. But we're going to change all that. Now this is going to be part of a bigger project to add solar panels to the southern end of our house. And that those panels will power up all of our external lighting as an off-grid system. It'll be fun. Now we're going to replace those lights with these little LED lantern style lights, which were quite a deal at our local clubs kind of store in El Paso. Let's see what we can do with it. As you can see, we're running on a little device that I pulled out of the little LED lantern. It's 135 volts. Actually, it's 120 out of our house. And output is up to 35 volts. Not quite what we want for a solar power system. I'm going to show you how we're going to fix that. We're going to do it by using one of these from Sure Display. This is a 3-watt LED driver. And of course, we'll be driving 3-watt LEDs. Now here's the item on eBay. It's 3-watt DC input, 9 volts to 30 volts, running at 800 milliamps. I bought 10 pieces coming in from China, and $3 shipping from Sure Display. I'll put a link in the description below. Now I'll be using that driver to drive these 3-watt LEDs. Now I've already pulled the adapter out of the little unit here. Then the plan is to fit that right inside. Hopefully that'll work. Looks like I'll have a little trouble getting the wires out. It's kind of tight in there, but it's pretty well labeled. Got ins and the LED out. Even has a PWM circuit input, but we won't be using that for this project. This lighting unit, LED lantern, well, we've gotten quite lucky actually, because I've already pulled the existing LED unit out of there, and we'll just be taking this and putting it right on top and wiring it up. Let's see if I can get it to focus, but I think it's going to work quite nicely. Now this is part of a larger project to provide power for our solar lighting to light up the external lights on our house. Thanks to Julian, he's from the UK. He's provided us with lots of information to get this job done. I have a 12-volt battery here, and the CMP12 solar charge controller. It's a simple unit, very easy to wire up. Just follow the diagram that's on the casing here. Going to the AC DC 12-volt daylight photo controller here, which in turn goes to the Sure Display circuitry, lighting up the 3-watt LED. Now the LED is going to produce a lot of heat, so I've got it temporarily hooked on to this large heatsink, but it'll eventually end up on here, which is a pretty good surface. It'll act as a real nice heatsink that came from the actual LED lantern. Let's see what we can do. Let's power it up. There we go. We've got load in the battery. We've got enough power there. And let's see if I can get this uh, fired up and see if I can get sunset. There it is. And the sun comes up. And it turns off. Not bad. Looks like it's going to work. Now I've gone ahead and wired up the LED and placed it on the original panel that came with the LED lantern. I tell you, we got quite lucky with the purchase of this lantern. This is going to make a great heatsink for this little 3-watt LED. The wires go through, and again, going back to that luck, the Sure Display LED driver fits pretty well in there. It's a bit tight in terms of the height when it comes to this capacitor, but all I got to do is just close it off and hook it up into this bracket that's inside the LED lantern. Let's see. I can get it to fit. And there it is. See, now we're just going to add some power to it from the 12-volt battery. And voila. It works just fine. I'm going to leave it on for a little while and see how hot, after about 30 minutes, how hot this plate gets. Let's see how that works out. We'll be back in a bit. Well, we've been running for about 4 hours now, and as you can see, the temperature gauge is reading about 41.5 or 42 degrees Celsius, which is about 108 degrees Fahrenheit. The case holding the Sure Display LED driver is barely even warm. One thing I forgot to show you was the starting voltage of this little battery that we're using to drive the whole thing was about 13.2 volts. Let's take a measurement now, just out of curiosity. And we're about 12.6 volts. That's pretty good. We won't be using that battery for the solar system. We'll probably be using an AGM, maybe if I can find one at about 18 amp hours. That's a much better battery for any kind of solar system. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. It's going to work.